Everyone, happy Wednesday. We are live. Let me make sure we're going live on all channels. Sometimes some of the social media outlets take a little bit longer than the other one. So if you're watching this, um, send me just a hey, hello. So I want to make sure that we are live on all of the channels. Actually, not all the channels. We're going to be live on 5 channels. Okay. Let's run a test. Okay. Boom. We are we are live. That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start with the story. As people hop on, feel free to ask any question that you want. I definitely looking forward to answering your business questions. And maybe if you're not even a business owner, it's okay. Just stop by and say hi. So we definitely looking forward to doing that. Let me cut this off. Okay, so I'm going to share a story. Actually, it's a little relevant with what's going on right this second, but I'm not going to go into that part. But let me tell you a story from a few years ago. This is definitely a good point. Hey, Carrie. So good point. So I remember. So my wife's a realtor. She partners with her best friend Grace, their real estate team. But years ago, we're getting ready to list a property in Yorba Linda. And before you go list a property, you do your due diligence. You check comps. You find out, hey, what the property is probably going to sell for you. So you go through the whole process, and then you get there and you get in front of the homeowners and you kind of go through with them and you find out, hey, what are you looking for? Hey, this is what we think. Well, in this case, this was years ago, but in this case, let's say, based on their property, based off the fact that it was dated, where it was located, it was really looking about 625, 630 on what they get. So the homeowner was like, no, 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 my home is worth like 680. Yeah, I know a lot of times homeowners think their house is just worth so much more money, but that's kind of what it was. So we're like, no, listen, where do you get that number from? Well, we get it from Zillow. So don't even get me started on that. But realistically, Zillow just pulls properties and numbers. It doesn't understand like which property has obsolescence, who has a view, who's got upgrades. It doesn't understand all that. So it just gives you a number. In this case, it was pulling properties that had, $100,000 pools, that had no issues, that were totally upgraded. So I said, listen, we can list it there, but it's not selling there. So, anyways, against our advice, they wanted it listed high because Zillow told them it was high, and all her friends told her that her property was worth that much. It sat there month after month after month. Long story short, it ended up sitting there for 6 months, multiple price drops, and she ended up selling it for 592. Now this is crazy because realistically, you made 6 payments, you made your property tax, so all of that, and you sold it for 592. Which, if you would have did it right, you would have ended up getting 629. It cost you a lot of money. Now the reason I'm telling you that, because you're thinking, well, what's this got to do with me? Because there's an important lesson in this. One, you have to be careful who you get advice from. Like you can get advice from people that you think love you, but the advice that they're giving you is not going to serve you. So you need to be very, very careful, especially as a business owner. You don't want to just take advice from people, especially people that never even ran a business before. I have people that try to give you advice and they've never even opened never even ran a lemonade stand. So like you're gonna want to like be careful on who's talking in your ear. Like you need to make sure. And secondly, you always want to get advice from a professional. So if you're listening on here, you're probably a business owner. People need to hear the advice from you regarding what it is that you offer. Like you're a professional. So many times, like we listen to the noise. So you got tune out the noise. So as a business owner, 2 things. One, tune out the noise when people whisper in your ear. Secondly, sometimes the enemy whispers in our ear as well and says, like you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not filling the blank. You're never going to get there. You got to tune that out as well. That's noise. That's just like traffic noise. So tune that nonsense out. Like stick to what you're doing, go full steam ahead. And when you need to get advice from professionals, people that are going to serve you, because not everything that we hold on to serves us long term. So Anyways, that's what I got. Zillow's misleading Grace, 100%. So a lot of people didn't know. So Zillow used to, they went through a period where they were buying and selling homes. Now here's the irony in this. So it was short lived because they ended up losing. Like you can Google this. I'm just going to guess. I want to say it was in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So the people that are giving you like estimates, like bought and sold homes on their estimates, and they lost hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, obviously, Zillow still plays a part, and they're dominant in their space. But as far as like the value, take it with a grain of salt. So if listen, maybe you're listening right now and you're not even a business owner. You're just like, hey, I'm thinking about buying or thinking about selling my house. Man, don't take the advice from Zillow. Take the advice from a professional. And I know two professionals that are on here right now that are great at what they do, Carrie and Grace. So if you are thinking about buying and selling a home, reach out to me. I will patch you to both of them, set it up. They can take you to coffee. It'll be on them, and they can answer any questions that you got. So, yeah, that's what I got. So, Carrie, I see you're on here. So, what question you got for me? I had to open up my text spaces because I couldn't even read yesterday. They were so small. So I got it as large as I can. So ultimately, yeah, now I can kind of see it pretty good. So, okay. So if we doubt ourselves and feel as if people don't support your small business, how can we not get frustrated? Sometimes I feel defeated. Give us tips to stay the course. Actually, it's a good question. And it's a question that we all do. So the first thing I would tell you is usually when we get frustrated, it's usually because of our expectation, right? So maybe we have a unrealistic expectation on fill in the blank. So I'm going to ask you if that's the case, really think about that. Like if you're getting frustrated over and over again, it's probably because you had an expectation that wasn't being met. So I would encourage you, one, maybe don't have an expectation if you're depending on somebody else. You know what I mean? So if you're going to do something, don't do it for, let's say as an example, the likes. Don't do it for the like. Let me give an example right now, right? So like I'm on here and I commit to doing this for the entire year, Monday through Thursday, to help our business licensees on the sports side, on the apparel side, as well as anyone that's just part of any of my social network. If they have any questions on business, I want to help and serve. Now, if I came in here with an expectation that I need to get like 100 comments a day, I need to get like 1,000 views, 1,000 likes. If I have that expectation, man, I'm going to get defeated because there's times I may pop it up and it might be like nothing. It might be blank. Or there's times where I came on here a couple times last week where it was nothing. Now we had issues last week, trying to figure out our our filming and our cameras, and we got a lot of equipment here, so we're trying to like get all that figured out. So we had problems last week, but the point is the same. Like, don't have an expectation. Do what you do because it's what you do, and you're good. You guys are very good at what you do, but don't have an expectation. Like, just be like, hey, I'm going to do it. I don't care if anyone likes it. People are still liking it, like maybe not physically, but they're seeing it, and you're in front of them, so they know that you're the expert in what you do, and that there's a part in that. But normally, kind of going back to what I was saying, that if you have an expectation that, hey, I want to get X amount of likes, and it doesn't happen, you're going to get defeated. So don't get defeated. 100%. Just change the thing. And here's the deal. At the end of the day, like if you're doing something, you just do it anyways. It doesn't matter what the response is on the other side, because here's the most important piece. The most important piece is the thing is working on you. And that is the most important thing. It's working on you. So you're getting better at what you do, and you become a better professional. And the better you get, the more people you can serve. And the more people you can better serve, right? So I would just have it I would, look through those lenses, and anything that goes on top of that is just a bonus. Like you say all the time, it's the cherry on the top, right? Anything on top of that is just a cherry. So that's how I would do it, like 100%. So, hey, Ray, good to see you. So, give me some tips on how to get over the fear of what people would think if I started a business and had to get out on social media. So, Ray, that's a great question. And man, it's deep on that. And I'm going to try to be sensitive on this one, because here's the deal. Like, there's psychology behind it, right? And I don't think it's like totally intentional with like friends. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of times, most of your friends aren't even going to be your biggest supporter. They're not going to be your biggest cheerleader. Now, when people usually say that, I always tell them, well, get new friends, because you want to have people in your circle that are going to like champion you and like encourage you. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, in real life, it's usually the opposite. Now, if I was a psychologist, I can go through and, explain why people don't do that. And I don't have a great understanding on why they don't do it. I just know that a lot of people don't. So I would tell you a couple things. One, if something's in your heart, in my opinion, it's usually because somebody deposited in your heart, namely God did, right? So if that's the case, I'm going to encourage you, like, go with it. Like it, and you're going to have to get really good at tuning out the stuff. So it doesn't matter if you have haters, or it don't matter if like people make fun of you, and none of that matters. Just like do it. And in the process, you'll figure out who your best friends are, the ones that really champion you, because good friends want you to win. Good friends are going to be on the sideline and being like, Ray, what can I do? What can I do to help you today? Hey, what can I do to help you in your business? Think about it like when you have a baby shower, right? And like it's a day and everyone shows up. How cool would it be to have like business showers where your friends are like, oh, that's such a great idea. Ray, I'm going to host a business shower for you. We're going to invite everyone in the neighborhood, and we're going to have like cake and like streamers. I mean, those are the friends that you want in your circle, right? So I would tell you, like, just go for it. For one, remember why you're doing it. You're not really doing it for your friends. You're doing it for your family, right? And then just kind of tune out the noise. So, but I'm in the camp of, man, just do it. Like Nike's, just do it. Grace, what is a tactful but firm way of telling people to stop listening to the traffic noise and listen to us, even after we presented ourselves as experts? Super, super good question. And like, sometimes the traffic noise is loud. And when it's loud, it's hard for people to tune in. Here's what I would do, right? Because you think about like, let's have two sides. So you have the traffic noise, which is crazy loud. And then you guys are like trying to whisper in. But I'm going to tell you which one's louder. So which one's louder, right? So you're going to have to be louder than the noise. Now, I'm not saying yell at them. You don't shout or anything like that. But like you guys should be, as business owners, we should be like constantly putting stuff out there where the public like sees our stuff, where it's so loud that they know that we're the expert. That's how I would do it. And when I would have conversations with them, I would always have conversations with stories. So a lot of times we don't like to be told, like, you can tell them something. We don't like to be told as humans, but share a story with them. Hey, listen, here's a story of someone that, I really loved, and we did it, and it ended up costing them, like the story I shared at the beginning. It probably cost, this girl probably lost, when you add up all the mortgage payments, the insurance, the property taxes, she probably lost 60 grand. 60 grand. So she would have had 60 grand more in her pocket if she would have listened, right? So I would share a story because it's more impactful. And now all of a sudden, like, she'll think about that through the whole week and be like, oh, well, wait a minute. That makes sense. You know what I mean? Maybe I do need to listen to them. I'm not saying you're going to win every single one of them, because some people, you know what I mean, they just don't listen. But I think you're going to get most of them. They're going to pay attention to you, and you're going to deal with ones that are serious anyways, that really want to be able to sell their house, not just have their house sit on the market forever and ever and ever and ever. And you know how it works. When the house sits on the market, people think something's wrong with it, right? So it's just perception. But that's kind of how I would do it. I want to be, that's what I'm talking about, Grace. Yeah, a business shower. Like that's the type of friends that we should be. We should be like, what? Jimmy's opening a business? Boom. I'm going to throw his business shower. That's how we should be. We should be supporting and encouraging each other. That's how it should be. Hey, Vanessa, haven't seen you in a while. Hope all is well. Having someone in your corner, a tribe, as a matter of fact, makes the world a difference. Amen. Oftentimes, it just takes one person to champion you, and you feel like you can accomplish anything. You really only need one. If you have one person that's just pouring into you on a consistent basis, it can change everything. Just one person like can change everything, right? So, we always want people like that in our corner. And sometimes we don't always have a lot of people in our corner that are like that, but hold on to the ones that are, you know what I mean? And start maybe spending more time with them. You know what I mean? But kind of going back to what Ray was saying, starting your business and you're afraid, don't be afraid. Fear, God didn't give us a spirit of fear. Absolutely not. That's not where it comes from. You know what I mean? It's resistance. So, like, but think about this. I may be a little bit of a tangent, but like, it's going to be uncomfortable starting a business. 100% scary. You're not sure what's going to happen. You don't want to look like, if I fail, what if I fail? I'm on the thing. Falling down isn't failing. Failing is never even trying. Like, I don't fail if I go up there and strike out. I fail if I stay on the bench and I don't even get up there and swing my bat. Like, that's the mindset I'm going to have. I'm going to swing my bat. And if I strike out and I don't hit it, I'm going to get up there and do it again. Then I'm going to do it again and I'm going to do it again. You know what I mean? That's the mindset I'm going to have. So I'm not going to worry about like, what people think or people want me to, who cares? Those people are not your friends anyways. Think about why you're doing it. In your case, I'm going to guess because you want to build something for your family and leave a legacy for your amazing children, right? And just focus on that. Focus on the why, not on the like knuckleheads that are going to like laugh at you because you want to start a business. So that's what I would do. Yeah, for sure. You got it. I can be loud. Grace, I know you can be loud for sure. Can we talk about the power of words? Yeah, it's interesting because that's super deep, right? But it's so important. So here's a hack. So in business, a lot of times if you're in business, you've heard of a template. We all want templates. It makes things easier, right? It cuts through all this stuff. It allows us to get from A to B faster. But it's interesting because like in the word, God has given us a lot of templates in the word, but a lot of times we kind of pass by it. But it's interesting because we know that how he created everything was right, except for, man, he formed man, but he created everything with his words. He spoke it all into existence. And it's interesting because if we were made in his image, which we were, then we should be doing the exact same thing, right? That's why life and death are in the power of the tongue. So we should be speaking that stuff in existence. There's power in that. Like, even if you don't see it, you should speak it into existence. Now, maybe you're thinking, well, I'm a little confused. Well, you just do it and you believe it. And you believe it's going to happen. So as an example, let's say Ray is going to start a shoe business. Ray, I'm going to use you an example. I don't know what your business is, but a shoe business, right? I want you to think about the ending and reverse engineer. So how far, like, what do you want it to look like in 20 years? And I want you to speak that into an existence. Speak it like daily, like give life to it because it's what gives life to it. It's what waters the seed. So you're speaking it, and you might think, well, I've been doing it for a long time. It hasn't happened. Here's where it might get a little deep. It has happened in the unseen. We're just bringing it into the scene. So it's not like it hasn't happened. It probably already has happened, but now you're bringing it to the scene. So there's a travel, like a time where it's got to travel. So yeah, 100% speak life. And here's the deal. Not even, and Carrie, you and I have this conversation all the time. Not only just about business, but on anything you want to, life and death are in the power of the tongue. Like speak life. And I'm one where, listen, I can preach it and I got to get better. But 100%, like speak into it, speak life into your business, speak life into your relationship, speak life into your children, speak life into your grandchildren, speak life into your neighbors, speak life into your friends that want to start a business. Speak life into it because life and death are in the power of the tongue, 100%. How cool would it be where like you have people that are like watering your dreams and you don't even know about it? That's amazing. So be that person where you're watering other people's dreams as well with the power of your words. So that's how we do it. Speaking water the seed. Yes. Yeah. 100%. So that's all we're doing is we're watering. That's what we're ultimately, that's what we are. We're to build and water. If you go all the way back to the very first thing that God told us about himself, Like I could say, hey, what was the first thing God, you know, told us about himself? And some people will be like, hey, that he's love. Well, he is love, but it's not the first thing that he said. The first thing he said was, in the beginning, God created. So the first thing that God told us about himself is he's creative. He's a creator, he's a builder, and we're made in his image. So we are builders. Now, some people might be like, well, I've never had a business, so I'm not a builder. No, you're a builder. Like he still called you to build things. You're a builder 100% because you're made in your father's image, but you're a builder and you're called to speak life into all of it, right? To water it all. So I don't know. It's just a very cool template that we got all the way at the very beginning in Genesis 1. So I like that. So these are great questions. Hey, hopefully you guys like my blue screen. I think it's like the brightest so I can see it. I think I might literally have to wear glasses though because I have I have my monitor here that you could see, but I have a screen back here in the back that's big, but it's still a little blurry. So it's ultimately I don't want to look at this. I strictly want to look at that, but ultimately, yeah, the older you get, your eyes get worse and worse. So, but think about that. Like, think about the things that we talked about. Like there's a few questions that are definitely on here. Like, how can I be more of a focal point where people come to me as the expert? Well, they need to know you as the expert. They need to see you as the expert. They need to see your stuff. You need to be putting stuff out there. They need to know that you are the expert at what you do. 100%. Thanks, Grace. I appreciate that. Yeah, they need to know that you are the expert. So be sharing this stuff. Be sharing stories. Be sharing wins. Here's the deal. Like weekly, you should have a day where you're just sharing wins. Just sharing wins. So let me give you an example. So let's say I'm the realtor, Grace, and you're one where you're thinking about selling your house. We had a conversation, and you're like, oh, I'm listening to these other people in Zillow, and I'm kind of like, I think I can get you to list your house, maybe not. We're kind of like going back and forth. But if you're watching me and like I'm sharing wins and I'm sharing wins, I could share wins and stories in the wins that can kind of tip the scale. It can be the tipping point that brings you over from the noise to like a professional team that's going to serve you guys well. So I don't know. I would say that you should be posting that stuff. You guys should be we should all be sharing our wins with people, and it could be like not just your wins, but other people's wins because of them using you and your service or your product, right? So share that stuff, and you can sprinkle in all kinds of cool stuff in there, and people are seeing it over and over again, and they're looking at you as the expert. You're not going to get all of them, but hey, if you get a good portion of them, that's a lot. So I'm going to encourage you to definitely do that. Be consistent. That's all business is anyways, is being consistent. Like it's staying in the game long enough until you get it figured out. Now you can fast track that process for sure by doing stuff and by skilling up and learning things, you know what I mean? And learning how to maybe overcome some of those objections. You guys should be role playing and practicing that. You know what I mean? 100%. We should do that. And then, it's going to allow you to be able to serve more people. So let me give you this last take, right? So if you talk with somebody and they give you that objection, well, Zillow this, or well, I think I'll just do it on my own, or whatever the case is, I would encourage you to like write it down and role play that and practice it, and literally like role play the conversation until you get very, very comfortable and you're able to overcome it. Like you want to be professional at that. You want to be really good at that. And you'd be like, hey, I get it. A lot of people kind of like to do it on your own, but here's the truth. Law of averages, the average person that sells it on their house, sells it for like almost $50,000 below market. You know what I mean? Or, man, I tell you how many stories people do it on their own, and years later they're getting sued because they didn't know what they were doing. Like, hey, we don't want that to happen to you. Or you could be like, I know you got that part figured out, but you can literally like address some of these things at the very beginning that makes them think a different way. So it's just it's a good thought. Please take a look. Okay, cool. Yeah, hey, it was fun. I appreciate you guys all being on here. Thank you for the amazing questions. If you have any additional questions that you forgot, don't hesitate to come. You can go to, you go to mecoachmartin.com. Ask any question there. I got buttons on there that you could click. Uh, if anyone has a business question or you have a friend that's thinking about starting a business, man, send them my way. Or if you know other business owners that are looking to skill up and scale, definitely send them my way as well. But hopefully you guys have an amazing evening. Stay blessed, and I will see you tomorrow evening. Take care.